Hey, I'm here joined by Byron with Train to Fight. Byron, thanks for joining me today. Tell me a little bit about what you do and for how long you've been doing it.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me, Nate. So what I do is firearms training. I've been doing it for about 13 years now. I'm a law enforcement firearms instructor, and I just have a passion for making sure people enjoy firearms, but are knowledgeable and safe about it. Because a lot of people, when introduced to firearms, if they're not introduced in a proper way, it completely turns them off, and then they have a bad ideology about firearms because of the way they were introduced. So I want to be that bridge and gap between new shooters and experienced shooters, and also with the regular people with law enforcement, because I train law enforcement as well. So a lot of people, I try to pass off knowledge about how to interact with law enforcement when armed and things of that nature.
Absolutely. Awesome. So it sounds like you have a couple different people you're trying to help. Who is the target market? Who is your ideal customer?
You know what? I can't even per se nail it down because I love her helping all of them. I think with law enforcement, everybody thinks that their training is so great, but it's really not. It's really average. And for the general public, people think, oh, I bought a firearm and now I'm going to be able to protect myself. And that's not the case. And I have a couple corporate clients too. So it's kind of hard. I just love training everybody as a whole. If you're interested in learning firearms, I'm interested in teach you as much as I know.
Awesome. Love that. So what is your goal for Train to Fight long term? Where do you want to take the company?
I want to take it to the next level of just being everybody's go-to for firearms training. I think one of the things about Train to Fight, as opposed to some of the other businesses, is that it's really a passion. Like a lot of times I've actually had an old operations manager that I hired telling me like, yo, you got to stop because you're doing too much. It's another class for that. But it's like, we're really passionate about passing along the education, and it's not necessarily about how much money you're spending per se. I mean, of course it's a business, so we need to make money, but I much more rather you call me and say, hey man, this almost happened, but I was aware because of what we learned and I avoided this situation and went home. And that's worth more than the money.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Just to I want to be a pinnacle when it comes to the training industry. So when you think firearms, you think of me and Train to Fight.
Perfect. Perfect. So you've been in business for a while now. Tell me a little bit about one mistake you've made or a lesson you learned that a business owner in a different industry could learn from.
Wow, a couple things. One, and I actually got this. I met Damon John and we were talking, and I was like, I need a gym that I could carry with. And he was like, if you want something done right, pay somebody to do it right the first time. And a lot of small business owners, we always want to try and do everything ourselves. And then by the time we're like, okay, I need help, we've screwed it up so bad that the person has to undo what we did to make it look right. Now they're working harder, so they're costing more, as opposed to be like, look, I have a blank slate. I need you to paint a picture. How much? They know what you want, then it's easier for them to execute and do it. So I would say, don't tie up as much as your time trying to do everything in a business. I remember even with my security company, I was getting contracts, I was working contracts, I'm trying to do meetings. You can't do everything. So pay somebody else to do certain things so it frees up your time to focus on the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Be able to focus on what your strengths actually are.
Exactly.
So in this process, have you had a great coach or a great mentor that you've worked with, and why?
One of my mentors, actually Michael Hall, he's the reason I actually became a firearms instructor. And he's still my mentor to today because he's always progressing. And no matter what he accomplishes, he always sets a new goal. And he's always letting me know to stay on my game. And so don't always just look at the basics of what I'm doing now. Understand the other doors and avenues from one business. Like now I'm doing sponsorships with companies and things like that, where now I make money to promote a product, but at the same time, I get to bring that product to my law enforcement clients, to my regular civilian clients, to my corporate clients. And I'm able to bridge the gap with solid products that I feel can benefit them. So it's like he taught me to not just stay too focused, but to understand everything that my business can benefit from and other lanes that my business fits in besides just training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about what the future looks like for Train to Fight. What are some challenges you see as you try and scale the company?
I think one of the biggest things for us will probably be with these elections and people always trying to put out guns are bad. And that's not true. Guns are just an object. You could load 1,000,000 guns and point them wherever. They won't hurt nobody without human interaction. So I think that would be one thing. But I think we have enough people out here spreading the message of you need to be a positive firearm owner, because if you're unarmed and only the bad guys have guns, nobody can stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are starting to understand that now. But I think one of the biggest things for us and one of the levels we want to get to is getting into training actors and things like that. So I think that'll be our biggest hurdle outside of like people just saying, oh, guns are bad. I think our biggest hurdle is going to be tapping more into the entertainment industry.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So what would you recommend to a young person that is starting their first business in today's world?
Be a sponge. Network with other business owners, understand what they have done, what worked, what didn't work, because their 10 wrongs may help you avoid those 10 hurdles. So it's just be a sponge, understand everything about the business, or not understand everything, understand as much as you can about the business you'd like to start. And because you want to be very knowledgeable about what you're doing, because the knowledge builds confidence, and the confidence when you're talking to people shines like the sun, and they're like, oh man, this guy knows what he's talking about, and they're more inclined to want to do business with you when they see that you're knowledgeable about the products and things that you're pushing with your business.
Awesome. Awesome. So how can people find out more about you, Byron, or more about Train to Fight?
I mean, they could definitely check out our website, fightllc.com. On Instagram, they can follow me at Byron, BYRON _ the instructor. That's the bigger platform because I post on there more than I actually do the business page. The business page on Instagram is at train _ fight. But I've been posting a lot more on the Byron _ the instructor page. So if you hit on that page, you'll get more of a response, and I have a decent amount of followers. So if I don't get back right away, just give me a time, give me a little bit, I'll get there. I reply to everybody.
Great. And I'll link all that in the description here so people can easily find it and get in touch with you. So
Perfect.
My last question for you today is, what most inspires you as you continue to move forward in the business?
Getting phone calls from people and just the appreciation of things that they've learned from classes, and when they're more aware after a situational awareness class and they notice like, hey, I seen this the other day and I noticed that this guy was watching me, but when I started paying attention to him, he turned around and went the other way and stopped focusing on me. So I like getting that feedback from my clients, knowing that, okay, you really soaked up everything I was teaching you and you're applying it, and that help you be even safer when you're out and about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, hey, Byron, I really appreciate you joining me today and sharing your story and a little bit more about Train to Fight. Thank you so much for your time.